Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the third lesson of Photoshop. Well, as you can see, I've already got Photoshop started up and I've already got this marvelous cat staring right at us. What I'm aiming to do is to get a dog in the distance, which is just sitting there, and I want to have his reflection actually illustrated in the floor as well. Now the dog we're going to be using is the one over here. These two different JPEGs can be found on Magister. The only thing you have to do is download them, put them onto your USB stick, then you go to File, then you click on Open, you just navigate towards your USB stick and you just open them up. If you've opened both of them up, you'll just see them over here in your Photoshop as well. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to try to select this dog, and we can do it in multiple ways. We can just go towards our lasso tool, and as you will notice, and I'm just zooming in, holding my Alt button, zooming in, as you will notice, if I try to do this by hand, I can try to do so, but I'm quickly making some mistakes. Now, let's imagine I'm going all the way past the dog, and I end off with a certain result. I've got a lot of mistakes to fix. Now, I don't really want that, so what I can also do is I just go towards my lasso tool, right mouse button, go to the polygonal tool, and I can redefine my selection. Now, first of all, just want to get rid of what I've selected here. What I can do is press on ctrl D and I deselect everything. So if I'd want to start off with this, I can just zoom in towards any point on my dog, and let's just say I start here, and I can just click with my left mouse button and just carefully track the side of the dog. I have to do this very carefully and just keep on going. Eventually I will have everything done. Now let's go through it very quickly. If you want to skip ahead through the video, that's okay. Now I'm almost at the end of this dog selection. And let's imagine I make a mistake and I accidentally press here and here and here, and I don't want to have that selected. What I can do is I use my backspace key to just deselect one of the things I've actually tapped. And as you can see, I can keep on going. So this is a way of quickly removing the selections I've just tried to make. So let's just imagine I have this selected, and I just double click to end my selection, and I look here, I can see on the side over here I've got some pixels of the dog which I've not selected. Now I can press my shift button, and as you can see, if I look at the symbol of my selection of my cursor, I can see I now have a plus. This is with my shift key pressed down. Now, this just simply means that I can add stuff to my collection, to my actual selection I've got over here. So I can just start clicking here, just keep on going, and as you can see, if I just add this, I've actually added these pixels which was just missing. Okay, so over here I can also see that I'm missing some pixels. Just press shift, etc. The same goes for if I've got some extra red anywhere. Let's imagine I had this selected as well. This part of the red, I could click Alt and then I get a minus, and then I can also just go ahead, go past this dog and deselect this part. Double click, and now this part is deselected. Okay, so this is a way of selecting the dog. Now I can go and just press Ctrl plus C, so Ctrl C at the same time. Now I've copied my dog image. I'm going to go towards my Mr. Cat. Just press Ctrl V, and you can see I've added my dog in this picture. Now if I press on this button to the top left, I've got my move tool. I can actually move it into the distance, and I'm seeing, well, this is quite a small dog, so let's imagine I'm just going to be adding I'm just going to transform it a little bit. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So I just go towards the corner, I click and drag, and as you can see, I can actually transform it into any different form, but that's not really what I want. I want to make sure that the ratio is intact, and the way to do so is by just pressing Shift, and you can see that no matter where I drag my mouse to, it's actually going to make sure that the ratio remains intact, meaning that if, let's say, the height becomes twice as tall, then the width will also become, well, twice that amount. Okay, so let's imagine I want to have my dog at about this size, something like that. I can press on enter, and it will actually make sure that it finishes the job. Now, as you can see, I've actually added a new layer in here. I can give it a name, like for instance dog. So I just double clicked on the name, and then if I do that, I can just alter it. With this layer selected, I can duplicate it. I just press on Ctrl J. So Ctrl J makes sure that I duplicate the layer I've got over here. Double click, and I'll call this one reflection. Now, as you might imagine, this is going to be the reflection of the floor. So what I could do is I just go towards my transform tools here once again, make sure my show transform controls is switched on, and I can go ahead and just drag this downwards. And now I can try and make a reflection on the floor. So as I can also see, I can also use these numbers at the top. Let's say I just want to have this at minus 100%. This is just another way of making sure that I've got exactly the same image, but then, well, minus 100%. Okay, so if I just press and enter once again, I have this dog right now on the floor. The only problem is that, well, this dog, it's not really perfectly aligned. The feet are not really aligned, so let's imagine I want to actually have this reflection a little bit better. Now, we can do this in different ways, but the first thing I want to do is I just grab my dog, guide this one a little bit to the top, make sure that my reflection is under the dog. So accidentally I made a mistake here. I have to first press enter to make sure that it's dropped down. And I go towards my layers, drag it a little bit down. And you can see, well, if you really paid attention to the detail, that I now have the dog underneath. Because if I would drag it any further, you can see that the dog is actually underneath. Well, this is obviously not what I want, so I press on Ctrl Alt Z, and it goes back to its position. What I now want to do is I want to transform it in a certain way that these two paws of the dog are not, well, that they don't have this gap in between. So what I will do is I will press on Ctrl, I'll grab this point, I'll just drag it upwards. And what you can see is that I can now transform the dog differently as well. What I will do is I'll just press on Ctrl, drag this upwards until the paws are actually touching, and I could also do it for this side as well. Try and get this a little bit down, this one a little more up, this one a little bit that way, and you will notice later on that it will perfectly fit. Now you can also get this one a little bit, just as soon as you're feeling, well, this is actually quite a good reflection, then just press on enter. You can go on, kind of play around with the anchor points which you've got of your selection point over here. So press on enter when you're done, and then you have your reflection. However, a reflection is not going to be as perfect as this. You could imagine that if you're looking at the reflection of this elevator door over here, it's not perfectly reflected either. So what we can do is we go towards filter, go towards blur, and then to Gaussian blur, and we can add a blur to our actual image over here. So let's imagine we take about something like this, maybe a little bit less, about 7-ish. We can also add a number over here like 7. There we go. this is not the only thing which I would recommend. I would also make sure that this layer, which is called reflection, becomes a little bit less transparent. Or, sorry, I should actually re-clarify. I mean more transparent, a little bit less opaque. The opacity, which is over here, the 100%, can be brought down, making it more transparent, because these are antagonists, meaning that if something is 100% opaque, it is 0% transparent. If something is 100% transparent, it is 0% opaque. So these are opposites. Now if I want to increase the transparency, that just simply means I have to decrease the opacity. So I can just bring this number down, and as you will see, I can start seeing through the dog, because I'm at the same time actually increasing the transparency. So just going down, and if I just click here, you can see that the dog becomes less and less visible. Now this would be something which is more realistic if you're looking at the actual image in the back with the elevator doors over there. Okay, so I think I'm just about done. If you're thinking, I'm zooming out now, by the way, using Alt and the scroll button on my mouse. If I just shift click both of these layers and move them around until I'm seeing a position which I find most convenient, I'd say this is actually pretty much done. What you could do is click on File, go to Save As, and I want you to make sure that you save this as a JPEG if you're done and you want to upload your picture to your WordPress website. You could give it any name, just like for instance Master Cat and Dog, and then save it like this. If you're not completely done with your work, make sure you save it as a PSD so you can continue this lesson next time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good luck. I hope you're able to actually redo the steps I've done. If not, feel free to ask. I'll help you anytime.